Good afternoon, friends. I hope you are well and everything is okay. I think you can hear me. Is there any problem? Yes, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. There is a few problems dealing my computer system. For this, maybe it wouldn't be comfortable for you. Don't worry about it. Today, I'd like to repeat what shall we do during this course again, because I think some of our friends didn't understand what shall we do during this course. For this reason, I'd like to summarize in a few minutes. Maybe it will be helpful for understand the system to listen a video. At the end of this course, maybe we can discuss the matter again. We can discuss something about our homework. At the end of this course, I think it will be more clear than from now on. You can start your presentation, because next week we have to start to presentation, draft version your presentation. For this, I'd like to repeat what shall we do during this course. As I said you before, we are interested with engineering projects, engineering industrial projects, appraisal. We are interested. We are interested with this kind of things, because we are all of us will be engineers, from mechanical engineers, industrial engineers, computer engineers, and software engineers, etc. It's not so important. First of all, you have to establish a team. I think your teams have to be consist of different members from the different departments. For example, one of you can be from machinery, the other one, the member of the group should be in electrical and electronical engineers. The other one, for example, will be industrial engineers. We can establish this kind of groups. It will be helpful for understand the system. But I'd like to ask you. I have two Turkish language version of project. I need two group. Maybe they can choose this projects to translate and present it, translate to the English and present it anyway. But I think the group members should be from the different engineering departments. If you would like to choose this kind of projects, it will be helpful if you could write me. I think it's clear. Then we can discuss again. I'll write you via WhatsApp. No problem. We are interested with industrial project. We have to learn. We have to know something about the investment projects that we discussed the matter before. As you know, we have to use some available resources in the economic stakeholders. We have to use some capital. We have to use some maybe land. We have to rent land or minerals, natural resources. We have to use some raw materials. You have to use labors. You have to organize this kind of things as inputs. Then you have to make some technical processes. At the end of technical process, you have to obtain new goods or items or services. Then it will be valuable than the previous consumption. It's very important. Don't ask some. I'll write you later. It's very important to understand the system first of all. as we discussed the matter, we can arrange this table. You have to this cash flow sheet of the investment. As you know, this is present, and when we take the time into consideration, this is future. During this period, this is the incomes. This is expenditures. As you know, we have two main steps, two main stages or periods during this investment projects. What was the first stage of the project, investment project? What's the name of the first step of the project, first period of the project? Is there anyone to know from you answer? You can answer this question. What is the name of the first question? First period of the project. Is there anybody can answer? Yes, Doğukan, do you know what is the first step of the investment projects? Ataberk. All weeks I discuss this kind of things, yes, but you didn't understand the system. I don't understand. What do you think? What do you? Why didn't you read or download the previous sections? It's easy. You have to. If you don't know anything about it, I could not follow this course. Okay. Yes. Arkadaşlar duyuyor musunuz beni? Somebody says that we could not hear from you. You have to answer my question. First of all, you are responsible for this. What's the first step? Beni duyan var mı? Duyuyorsunuz değil mi? Cevap verin lütfen.
Duyuyoruz hocam.
Yes, teacher, we are here.
Yes. This is the question. What is the first period of the an investment project? Not introduction. This is the time cash flow chart of the project. We have two main stages, two main period of an investment projects. The first, what was the first one? During the first period, we always have to pay. We could not obtain any money. We have to pay during this period. Always we have for the implementation of the project. That's okay. Doğukan, you discussed the matter dealing with the project report. I'm not. The question is not consist of the project report. We discussed the matter dealing the cash flow of the project. As you know, that we have two main project period. And we have to determine that we have to calculate the life of the this periods. For example, how long does it take? 10 years, 20 years, 40 years, etc. For the second period should be long than the first period. The first period is interested with the implementation of the project period. During the second period, this is the second period. Sorry, second period. I could not give you the names. This is the first, because this question is very important. If you didn't understand this chart, you could not be successful. First period, okay. What's the name of the first period? What's the name of the second period? During the second period, we have some incomes, maybe, but we have some expenditures. It means that's okay. I always. Ahmet Taha, yes, it's very important for you, but this is a project preparation of the project report. You always say something about the project reports. I interested with the real project life. Our course as you know, our course topic based on the this concept. Maybe you can discuss the matter later. We have two main periods. It's very important for the implementation of the projects. First of all, you have to determine the project title. You have to determine your project title. Then you can determine the project life, location, capacity, etc. But first of all, you have to understand this chart. Just one more time. Just one. You can write the related correct answer. It will be helpful for you. During this period, during this period, we always have to pay money or capitals or the other materials. During this period, we haven't got any incomes, but at the end of this period, we can start to produce our goods or items. During this period, it should be long than the first period. During this period, we have some expenses, annual expenses, and we have also incomes. Maybe we can make profit or loss, depending. Then we have to compare this profit or losses to the first period. Yes, one more. People. What about your opinion, Alkin? Amir, what do you think about it? What's the name of the first period of the investment projects? No question, no answer. Kaan? Mahmut Ramadan? You can open your microphone and you can sit. What do you think about it? Right? Taha, Mohammed Fattah, Mertcan? I'm waiting for your answer. No one. Bushra, what do you think about it? Nobody knows something about it. I'd like to repeat again. The first step first period of the system, investment project, investment period. Okay, investment period. The first step. The second step of the project is operational all production period. It's very important. Operational period. The first step is investment. Is it clear or not? It's okay. During the investment period, we have only expenses. You have to pay for land, we have to pay for machinery, we have to pay for the other materials, etc. Because we have to implement the process. Is that right? But at the end of this period, we can start to produce the new materials, new ones, new products, and we can sell them. It will be, we can determine the price, selling price. We maybe in this period maybe we will incomes. We can obtain incomes, and we can maybe in this period we have also annual expenses. Difference with this one, maybe we can obtain profit. Then we have to calculate, and we have to compare the profits that we obtained during investment period to the investment capital cost of the project. It's very important. Is it clear or not? Do you have any question? It's easy, as I said you before. Maybe you didn't understand what I said during the matter. It's not so important at this stage. Yes. First of all, you have to. But first of all, it was related with the real life of the project, in the real life. But now we are interested with the preparation of the and calculate the project, evaluate the project topics. First of all, as I said you before, we have to determine a project topics. We have the objectives of the project is very important. You have to the objective. You have to define the project. Yes, Amir, I'm missing you. Please open your
Hocam, do you want the project that you asked for next lecture that it will be a mid or a homework, or you want just to know our project name and stuff?
Not now. We can't because you have to only listen this course. Maybe we can discuss the matter later. Okay. Because you are, I think you are not ready for, because you didn't understand the main system. What shall we do? I could not answer individually, but please listen this course. Then maybe we can discuss the matter for a few minutes. Then you can start, and next week you have to present your project, the draft version of your projects. Everyone have to present it from next week. Yes. First of all, you have to determine the project title. Please read I share two main project titles. It was easy for understand the system. One of them was consist of the ice cream production. The other one was related with the pizza production, pizza company. It was, I think it's easy to understand the technical concept of the project. It was this kind of project maybe will be helpful for your acceptation. You can make some acceptances. It's not so important because your project will be on the basis of the hypothetical system. You can, for this reason, you can make some acceptances. You can some assumptions. But it should be meaningful. Okay. You have to determine the objective of your project. You have to make definition dealing your project title. Then you can make some market analysis and something like this. I'd like to show the content of the project again. Maybe this will be helpful. You have to when you decide, when you select, when you choose your project topics, in the topics at the end of when you determine the topics of the project, then you can determine. You have to you have to determine your project capacity, annual capacity production. But how many units you have to produce during operational periods? Then you determine the project location. You can accept it. It's not so important. At this for this project, your homework, it's not so important because you can accept it as logically. It's not so important. The main content of your project, in this case, introduction of the project, the project objectives, the technical segment of the project, it's very important. The management segment, market segment, financial chapter, economical segment, etc. You have to discuss something like this. Maybe I'm going to share this documents also again. Maybe it will be helpful to understand the system. I'm going to share it. When we evaluate your project, you have to determine for example, you have to land and land requirement for the project. This kind of things very important. Land clearing, slumping, civil works and the foundations, drainage. It's a version, especially if you select a version area, version land area. It will be helpful. It will be necessary to drainage something like this. Maybe we can rent, depending on your acceptation. It's not so important. Steel structure, factory building, offices, wind force of direction, elevator, public electricity, potable water, sewerage, existing roads, etc. Those kind of things very important for your project opportunities. When you make a SWOT analysis, you have to determine this kind of thing. It will be helpful for location selection of the project location. Otherwise, you have to reorganize this kind of things. You have to evaluate something like this. You have to evaluate the management opportunities. Maybe it will be helpful for understand the system. In this case, we have to discuss something about the legal form of the business, operational structures, number of the divisions, what kind of departments you have to organize, number of the units, who are the key officers, qualification of key staff, total member of the employees, and the salaries, condition of the employment, etc. The demand and market segment will be most important for selection of the project capacity. You have to make some analysis on the basis: is there any demand for your products? What will be? Is there any gap, etc. Maybe you can accept. You can make some statistical analysis. You can on the basis of your, depending on your project topics and the products, maybe you can use some statistical analysis dealing the matter. For example, checklist for demand and market segment. What is the location of the project? What is the population of the project? What is the nature of the demand for the product? What is the size of the market? What is the supply situation? What is the price of the product? Market share of the project? What strategy, etc. Those kind of analysis will help determine your project capacity. Dealing the financial segment, maybe we can discuss something about it. You have to determine the cost of the land if you need land acquisition, building acquisition, machinery, etc. You have to determine some tables, some charts dealing the matter. Cost of the land acquisition, cost of the land clearing, cost of the stamping. If there is, if you don't need this kind of things, you don't need to write something like this. The cost of the plumbing, administration buildings, factory buildings, ateliers, etc. Dormitories, maybe. For example, in some mining projects, you have to construct some dormitories for the staffs, for example. Maybe some schools, some hospitals, depending on the mineral location, mining location. Maybe this kind of things will be necessary for comfort of the laborers. Then you have to determine the revenue, the capital cost of the project. Then you have to you have to calculate the revenues, expenditures. You have to project the income statement, projected cash flow statement, projected balance sheet, etc. It's necessary for those kind of things related with the, as you know, those kind of things related with the operational period of the projects. Okay. You have to analyze also the economical chapter, employment generating capacity, number of the new job created, contribution of government revenues, forward linkage of the project, backward linkage of the project, externalities, etc. This is very, very important for governors, for public purposes of the project, because maybe you need some support from the governors, some priority dealing with the taxes, etc. Those kind of things will be checked by the states or by the governors, departments, related departments. They can give you some supports or restrictions. Yeah, it means that you have to organize the technical management, the demand market analysis, financial segment, economical aspects of the project. You have to calculate something like this. Maybe we can discuss some details dealing with the technical concept of the project. I think it's difficult for you nowadays. You couldn't because some of our students consist of the mechanical engineering, electrical energy engineering, software engineering, etc. Maybe it was not so easy to choose the topics, etc. But maybe you can establish using this opportunities. You can make cooperation. You can establish your group from different disciplines. It will be helpful for you. As I said before, your projects have to be hypothetical ones, not real one. For this reason, you can accept some data, no problem. But your acceptations, your acceptances have to be meaningful. You have to explain that the main purpose of this acceptances. Okay, is it clear? As I said you before, the main content, the main chapter of any industrial project is technical segment of the project. It's very important because if you didn't organize the technical concept, maybe you can make some fails, you can some mistakes. It's very important. But in real time, you have to use some expert knowledge. It's not so important because you no need to know everything during the project technical process. But in real time, maybe we can use some expert knowledge. Okay. The project technical concept. During this concept, we have to determine the process, technical process, network of the process of the projects. The objectives, the land building, technical analysis, raw material requirements, utilities, etc. You have to determine the introduction of the project, objectives of the project, as I said before. Then you have to calculate or estimate the plant capacity and production plans. You have to estimate or calculate the plant layout, raw materials, and etc. This chart may be helpful for understand the system. You have to calculate the land and building requirements. You have to estimate the amount or the dimension of these buildings. Then you have to calculate the cost, etc. It's necessary. You have to calculate the machinery requirement and equipment, main machinery or auxiliary machinery. It's also very important for some projects. Then you have to understand the system of the raw materials and technical analysis and utilities. Then you're using this kind of test. Then at the end of technical analysis and network process, you have to organize the process, something like this. You have to discuss something like this dealing the method. I don't know, for example, I don't know how, what kind of machinery equipment need for ice cream, production of the ice cream, for example, but maybe somebody knows details. For this reason, you have some options in order to choose your project title and project area. Land requirements, maybe we can discuss something about it. In this case, is land available for the project? What is the cost of the land? The perimeter fence, need or not? You need or not? You can accept like this. Construction of the factory building, because every project has its own requirement, building requirement. Maybe you can say, for example, you can say we will rent it. We no need to construct the buildings. For this reason, we no need the land, for example. Construction offices, etc., parking space for customers or staffs. No, it's not so important. This table related with the machinery, you have to calculate your justify this land and its ability in connect with the project appraisal, etc. You have to calculate the amount of your equipment and function of the machinery equipment, components of the machinery, electricity consumption, heating power, structure of the machinery, screw speed, compressed air requirement or not, quality of the water required, quantity water temperature, clamping method, production process, service interval, something you can give some details or not. You can accept something about it. then it will be helpful for understand your project content. For example, in this case, palm oil production. This is maybe helpful for understand the system. Production process of palm oil. It should be this project have to be its own technical specification. For example. Maybe I don't know what we need for raw materials and their how can be sourcing. Symmetry water. Lots of during the lots of project, the main consumption should be on the basis of the energy and oil and water, etc. You have to analyze this kind of things also. Maybe we can say something about evaluation capacity of the project and production. In this concept, we have to analyze the objectives also. We make at the end of the market analysis, we can evaluate the capacity and the production of the project. You have to make some connection between the technical and economical concept of the project. What's it mean? For example, what's it mean the capacity? What's it mean? Main service. For example, in this case, capacity is a reference to the ability of the hospital to provide service to patient. It's a public services projects, public projects, many. But in palm oil, for example, it means what will be our production, annual production amount. Number of the good product per maybe we can use per second, but in project, during the project, you have to annual capacity is very important, but to achieve the annual variable capacity, we can start the project second, minute, hour, day, or year. Using this kind of thing, we can calculate the annual capacity of the projects. It's not so important. In project appraisal of the projects, always we use annual productions, annual expenses, annual incomes, etc. And we have to evaluate it annually. But in some cases, maybe you can use weeks or day or year, depending on your concept. But generally, we are related with the annual capacities, annual production, annual incomes, etc. We can discuss something about it. In nominal conditions, at the nominal conditions of the project life, annual production, production amount of the project will be the capacity, nominal capacity or real capacity, etc. There are a few definition dealing the capacity, but we are related with the we are interested with the real capacity of the project or nominal capacity of the project. You can learn some actual capacity is very important for us. For example, how many goods we have to produce, how many cars will be produced during 1 year, during the operational period. This is we can accept something like this. I think it's enough for understand the system. Yeah, I'd like to summarize again. Then I'd like to listen. It will be helpful for listen the lecture. It takes about video. It takes about 20 minutes. At the end of this video, maybe we can discuss the matter for further steps. Today, maybe we can discuss the matter. It takes about at the end of 10 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe we can discuss the matter again. It will be today's course is very important for understand system for you for preparation of the your project. Please be careful of the video and this kind of. I'm going to load it this document to the content area. Please check that. Check this content area of the online system and download it, and then use it for your just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. This video you can download it using this kind of tool. Be enough for this stage. Is do you hear? Could you hear the video? Please listen carefully.
In this lecture, we are going to be talking about the next important phase in the life cycle of the project, namely project appraisal. Project appraisal is a very important part because it determines the effectiveness of the project, and it makes sure that you have in fact chosen the right kind of project for implementation. And all the subsequent success of the project in its right implementation is then governed by this particular stage. In our last lecture, we had looked at the problem of project selection in some detail, and we had in fact seen that project identification was the first stage where ideas were generated, and these ideas, after being generated, were subjected to a preliminary screening and you came up with a list of worthwhile ideas. And this list of worthwhile ideas now has to be investigated in greater detail through what we call a project appraisal. And it is this project appraisal that we are going to be talking about in this particular lecture. In fact, as I indicated to you in the earlier lecture, project appraisal is a very necessary part of preparing a project feasibility report. And as you know, any large project involving good amount of capital investment has to have a project feasibility report, which is going to study whether the project is worthwhile as far as the demand is concerned, as far as the financial implications are concerned, and as far as the socio-economic implications are concerned, and the ecological considerations are concerned. So basically, a project appraisal is essentially a consideration of the market analysis, the demand analysis for the product, the financial analysis, the economic analysis, the technical analysis, the socio-economic analysis, as well as the ecological analysis of the project. And obviously, the techniques would vary depending upon the kind of project which is involved. And but we'll spell out the broad guidelines for undertaking a project appraisal. Once the project is appraised, the next stage is the stage of project selection, where after having a detailed analysis done of the various performance parameters of the project, we would like to select the one project which is probably the best. So this is the whole idea in this exercise. Let us try to recapitulate briefly what we had done when we were talking about the project identification phase. You saw that the project identification phase was actually governed by the objectives that you are setting out to achieve. And these objectives, along with the analysis of the strengths and weaknesses, the opportunities and threats which exist in the market, both from the internal environment or the system or the external environment existing, would have to be taken into consideration in a brainstorming session to identify various project possibilities. And these project possibilities, after screening on various important criteria, would give you the candidate project proposals. And these candidate project proposals are the essential input to the project appraisal phase, which we are talking about. Now, just to gain some idea about the criteria, because after all, an appraisal has to be based on some criteria. In fact, even the screening phase of project identification used very many criteria, and these were very relevant criteria. So it's worthwhile to look at this list again. These criteria would be things like investment, or rate of return, the risk, the likely profit, the payback, similarity to existing business. This could be an important criteria for an entrepreneur who is probably thinking in terms of setting up a new venture. So he would probably like to utilize his experience, the expected life of the project, the amount of flexibility. I think flexibility is emerging as a very dominant objective these days, primarily because the markets are very dynamic, and you would like all production systems or all projects to be able to respond quickly to changes in the market. Customer tastes can vary, production requirements can vary, and therefore a system which has flexibility would be a worthwhile one. The environmental impact of various projects, the state of competition, are all factors which are important when you're trying to appraise a particular project. As I indicated to you earlier, the project appraisal could conventionally be divided into, number one, a market appraisal. The purpose of a market appraisal is to identify the market for the product, to identify who the customers are, and to find out the quantum of demand and also the nature of demand, whether it's a static demand, whether it's a fluctuating demand, are there any seasonal considerations in demand, and these kinds of issues which are very, very relevant there. It's not only this, but it's also trying to identify who are the other players in the system of the total demand. Who are the other players in the system, meaning what is your market share likely to be, and what is the nature of competition? Is your market share likely to be affected by an aggressive advertisement campaign or a policy of this nature? All these issues become very relevant when you're trying to do a market appraisal of a project. Followed by the follows the technical appraisal. The technical appraisal looks after the engineering aspects of the project, whether the project is worthwhile, have right decisions be taken with regard to the location, the size, the processes, and so on, and whether the whole thing is viable from a technical point of view. The financial appraisal, which is generally one of the most important appraisals in the appraisal of the project, in fact, is concerned with things like return on investment, what are the risks involved, what is the profitability, what is the debt service capability of the project, and issues pertaining to financial implications which are there with the project. A socio-economic appraisal in a project is generally concerned with issues which are affecting the society at large. Setting up of a hydel project, for instance, could displace a large number of people from their homes. So there is a social cost associated with that. A project of this nature could also result in redistribution of income among the society. So we have to be concerned about those things. And it is essentially an evaluation on the shadow costs, which is relevant in the socio-economic appraisal. Ecological appraisal, which is assuming prominence these days because the world is concerned about the environment. You could be worried about the depletion in the ozone layer, or you could be concerned about the poor quality of air, or about various kinds of emissions which might pollute the water, or noise pollution. All these are aspects which have to be considered, and they might be more important for some projects than for others. Let us now look at the issues involved in these various kinds of appraisals in a little greater detail. By and large, the market appraisal of a project is actually concerned with two broad questions. These questions are, number one, what would be the aggregate demand of the proposed product or service? So you are talking about the total demand for a product or service which your project intends to produce. And the second issue is, what would be the market share of the project under appraisal? So you have to basically conduct an analysis to establish what the total demand is, and because that's going to be the lion's share. And then you've got to estimate how much of the total demand are you in a position to capture. That is the market share. And both these things are dynamic. You could be changing, they could be changing, and it might be very difficult to estimate these things, especially with regard to products which are new, right? For instance, what might happen is something like this. Let us take an example of an existing product. So this is an existing product, so it probably has some kind of a demand history, I mean the product demand, and let's say this is the time now, the current time we are here. Now, the problem of finding out the total demand would be to see into the future, look into the future. It would be very difficult to find out what's going to happen in the future. But at least you might say, you might consult people and they might say, okay, there could be a growth of 5%, or the demand could remain stagnant, or the demand could in fact be falling. So we could think in terms of either an optimistic scenario or a most likely scenario or a pessimistic scenario, and at least try to estimate these kinds of trends of demand as you go along. And in making these estimates, you can use forecasting techniques. You can use, for instance, regression. You can use exponential smoothing, moving averages. You can use various kinds of causal models, because you have the advantage of history that is going to be available with you. And therefore, forecasting the demand and the market share for existing products is generally simple, and you can use the various demand forecasting methods which are available. But if you talk about a new product, you have nothing here. It's a vacuum. There is nothing available here. You don't know what happened here because it was not in existence. So you got to now take a jump and estimate as to what the demand is going to be. So these are more wild guesses. You don't know what is going to happen. So the success of these guesses is open to a greater amount of uncertainty as compared to the guesses that you made in the case when you had existing products. However, even in situations like this, you can take recourse to expert opinions. You can take recourse to methods like Delphi, questionnaire surveys, opinion polls, and things of that kind, and essentially try to get the opinions from different knowledgeable people and try to make some kind of estimates here. So these are actually issues which one has to keep in mind when one is trying to do a market survey. Another way to look at the whole problem in the market analysis is something like this. The market survey would probably establish, there are two important parameters. One is what the total demand is. So the total demand itself is fluctuating. And your share of the demand, what slice you get out of the total cake, that share itself could be fluctuating. It could be going up or going down, depending upon how maybe your company has performed over the past. And so this problem is actually quite a tricky problem of trying to estimate first how the total demand changes, and then how the overall share could diminish or increase depending upon how it is. So some estimates of this nature constitute the basis of a market appraisal. Let's try to look at some of the major issues which are involved in a market appraisal. In a market appraisal of a project, we would be interested in past and current demand trends. What has been the demand like in the past? Has it been erratic? Has it been stagnant? Has it shown a steady increase or a steady decrease? And things of this nature. And based on that, what are going to be what are the current trends in the demand? Similarly, an understanding of the past and current supply position. This is also very important. I mean, if you are, for instance, operating in a monopolistic situation, then you might not be concerned about this really. But then if there are multiple suppliers and you got to find out what the total supply is, whether you're falling short of the demand, what is the potential in the market, and things of this kind, this becomes an important subject for analysis. What are the various production possibilities and the constraints? This would be another issue when you are trying to talk about market appraisal. You could talk about what are the likelihood of imports and exports in this area. You could be talking about the nature of competition. You see, the nature of competition means, for instance, how are the important players which are there in the game, how are they in terms of their capabilities with regard to you? That is the nature of competition. You see, for instance, when the multinationals came on the scene in India, many of the small scale entrepreneurs vanished and they were forced to close down because the competition was so severe, and these multinational companies could actually afford to launch the kind of aggressive tactics which the small entrepreneurs would not be able to withstand. So one has to be clear about what is the nature of competition and what kinds of policies can be adopted by them. What is the existing cost structure of the various factors? What is the elasticity of demand? This again is a very important question, because how does the price respond to demand, or how does the demand respond to the price? If you change the price, is there going to be a change in the demand for products or not? One would generally expect that for essential commodities, the demand would not be affected by price, or would be affected only marginally by price. But maybe for luxury goods, it could be affected to a much greater extent. So these are some of the issues which one would have to talk about when one is talking about a market appraisal. Then there would be other issues like what is the consumer behavior? What are the factors on which the consumer bases the decision to buy kinds of products? And these would therefore govern the operation of the market as far as those are concerned. And an awareness of. Let us now talk about the technical appraisal of a project.
As I said you before, the market analysis is very important for determine the capacity of the project. It's very important, necessary. It's necessary for analyzing and determine the project capacity. But the technical, let's listen a few. At the end of this market analysis, you have to determine your project capacity, because it's very important for the dimension of your technical projects. Let's listen a few minutes the technical appraisal principle. It will be helpful maybe for understand the system again.
Obviously, I think as the name clarifies, the technical appraisal is more concerned with the engineering aspects and the fact that are you trying to utilize the proper economies of scale? Have you chosen an efficient design and things of this type? So basically, we are talking again about these two major issues. One, the first issue is whether the prerequisites for the success of the project have been considered broadly in terms of looking at the project as a whole. And then secondly, have good choices been made with regard to location, size, process, machines, etc. in the overall project selection exercise. So some of the things that can be done therefore in this case, some of the major issues in the technical appraisal would be to find out whether the preliminary tests and studies have been done. What would this mean? This would essentially mean, for instance, that in making the building, have the soil tests been done? Is the structure of the building adequate to cope up with the soil strength? And is the design adequate? Right? These kinds of issues. So then we would be concerned with things like availability of raw materials, power, and other inputs. And this is a very important thing to check, because we would like to make sure that all the raw materials which are needed for running the project or the product, the factory in whatever way, the power and the other kinds of inputs are in fact available. So just trying to make a check that these things are available or could be procured at that for that particular project. Are you operating at the optimal scale of operations? Which would mean that have you made the right decisions in terms of the sizes that you have chosen, the level at which you want to operate. It might be uneconomical to operate a process at a very low level. Similarly, maybe at a very high level also it might not be economical to operate a process. So are you trying to make sure that you are operating your processes at the optimum levels?
It's the capacity of the project. It related with the capacity of the equipment, etc.
These kinds of things are important when you're trying to do a technical appraisal. Have you made the right choice for suitable production processes? A particular product may be made by a number of different processes. Different processes would have different requirements. So there would be economic considerations, of course, but there would be other technical considerations in terms of the quality of the product that you may be getting. So have you made the right choices there? This becomes an important issue. And have you made an appropriate choice of the machines and equipment which is going to be needed for that kind of project? So this is something very vital when you're trying to do a technical appraisal. Some of the other factors which are important when you're talking about a technical appraisal are: have you ensured that there is a proper arrangement for disposal of effluents and waste? This is very important. Should try to have a proper system. I mean, is your chimney of the right height? Are you trying to dispose of your smoke at the appropriate level so that you do not pollute the atmosphere beyond what is actually permitted by law, maybe? So considerations like these are important. Do you have a proper layout of plant and buildings? This becomes again very, very important aspect, because after all, if you have a poor layout of a plant and a building, you are unnecessarily going to have much greater effort in terms of movement of men and materials, and this is going to be a lifelong affair. So a wrong decision of a layout is going to have costs in terms of movement of men and materials. Maybe you have more of movement of men and materials, and you would probably like
It's
to
very
cut
important
that
for
down.
operational period. You have to determine.
Have you set up realistic work schedules? And this is also a very important technical aspect. I mean, even in the setting up of a work plan, somebody might say that we will erect this machine and do the whole thing in 5 days. You got to make sure that it is realistic. It's probably not possible to do it in 5 days. You might have to spend much more time on this. So make sure that your schedules are as realistic as possible. This is again for instance, you should not be tempted when somebody says, I can set up the project in maybe 1 month and it can give you 1 lakh rupees per week or something like that. You must get convinced that in fact the project would start earning revenue after this much period of time. And that is a very important part of the technical appraisal. Do you have a socially acceptable technology? I think concern for human welfare is assuming greater and greater importance as society is becoming more educated. And therefore, this is an important thing. So these are therefore some of the major issues involved when one is talking about an a technical appraisal of a project. Let us now talk about the economic appraisal of the project, or the socio-economic aspects in the appraisal. In fact, we'll talk about an economic or a socioeconomic appraisal. I'll be talking about the financial appraisal later on, because that probably deserves a whole separate treatment. So we'll talk about that later. One of the things here is what is generally known as social cost benefit analysis. Social cost benefit analysis addresses these issues of how the project is going to affect the society at large. It might displace some people, it might provide opportunities for
I think it will be enough at this stage. I think it was helpful for understand the system. It means that we have to determine project topic. We have to determine the project capacity. Then we have to determine the project location. Those kind of things should be on the basis of the market analysis. Then we have to analyze the technical concept of the projects. In this case, we have to estimate your requirements for. You have to estimate the project capacity of the project. Then I'd like to summarize this course. Sorry. Those kind of things very important for, as I said you before. At the end of this next week, you have to come to this position. This is the incomes. This is expenses, as you know. This is the time of the project. Life of the project consists of the two main period. Maybe your investment project takes about 3 years. Future, present. You can accept that our investment period takes about 3 years. The first year we are going to use $10 million, for example, $10 million. The third year, the second year, maybe we can use $8 million. At the end of this one, maybe we can use $12 million, for example. This is your total capital cost of the investment. How can we calculate this cost? How can we calculate? Maybe you are responsible for this step. How can we calculate those kind of expenses? Maybe we can discuss later the second step of the project. For this session, I'd like to share what kind of items we have to determine the dimension of the items and the cost of the items. What kind of things? At the end of analysis, you have to determine some requirements of the land, buildings, machinery, etc. And you have to calculate you have to estimate their costs. It will be your total investment capital cost of your investment. I like to share a few. For example, you have at the end of analysis, you have to come to determine this slide. At the end of your analyzing capacity, machinery, equipment, etc., and you have to prepare this chart. What kind of research, preliminary studies or tests? What will be the cost of this kind of things during your investment projects? Do you need the patent know-how, etc.? If you don't need, you don't need to write it. What will be how many square land you need? You have to calculate it. Then you have to determine the cost. of this kind of things. If maybe in some cases in land arrangement need preparatory of the land requirements, you have to calculate something like this. You have to calculate your building requirements. Then you have to the construction work or expenditures, etc. You have to do the amount and the requirements and the cost of this kind of things. Then you have to calculate the transport if needs, depending on project topics. I don't know. In general, I have to give some information, general information dealing the matter. Transport road investment, maybe in some cases we have to construct some production road or something like this, especially some in some mining project, for example, maybe in agricultural projects, maybe we have to organize some constructions of the roads, etc. Maybe it's necessary. We have to calculate the amount of the machinery, equipment, etc., and then we have to determine their dimension. It should be consist of the technical concept of the project, the network of the projects, etc. You have to determine the details, and you have to determine their cost also. Maybe you need some during your project. You need to use some auxiliary equipment. You have to calculate for a grader, for example, or oil tank, or something like this, for example. Those auxiliary equipment. We no need for the main process of the project, but we need for some kind of the operation. Maybe in some cases we can accept the insurance we need, or insurance, or customs, etc. Or maybe we can use something like this, the cost, if we need, depending on your acceptances. Installation, that maybe in some cases we have to implementation of the project needs some expenses. We can accept something like this. During the investment period, we have some overheads expenses. We can calculate something like this using some statistical acceptances. Expenses of the passenger vehicles, maybe we need during the operational period. We need some main equipment, machinery, etc. But maybe we need some services equipment, some cars, etc. I don't know. You can accept something like this. Commission expenses, trial period expenses, especially maybe in some cases we could not start at the end of the investment. We have to make some trial production. In this case, maybe we have to make some operational capital we have to use. Maybe all projects have its own unexpected investment, depending on the inflation and unexpected equipment. You have to calculate, for example, 10% of the first items, maybe. Investment period interest, maybe in some cases, depending on your acceptances, maybe you have to pay for payment. You have to pay for interest for the banks, for the financial companies, depending your agreement. If you need to pay, you have to write those kind of things in this table. The total fixed expense will consist of this one. Then you calculate the working capital if you need during your projects. Maybe you could not sell your goods. You could not make incomes during at the first step of the operational period. For this reason, you have to pay for the raw material. You have to pay for labors. You have to pay for rents, energy, etc. For you need a special capital. It means this is a working capital. It's during the first step of the operational production period. You have to determine the total amount of your fixed capital. It will be the total one. For example, in some cases, for example, you have $30 million, for example. This is the fixed capital cost of the investment project, your project capital cost of the project. During the operational period, we have to depreciate this amount. For example, 10% of them, $3 million will be as expenses during the operational period. For example, we have to calculate it. Then you have to how can we obtain the financial support? It's very important determining and calculation of the investment capital. I think it will be enough. At the end of your analysis, you have to come to this table. Next week, maybe you can discuss the matter. We can discuss the matter. Now, I'd like to share a few Turkish projects that I said before. One of them, for example, sorry. I'd like to share some topics, for example. It's very important for Turkish people. One of them is the silah parçalama parçaları imalat yatırımı projesi. Bu makinacılar için önemli. Kırıkkale bir örnek. Bu örneği paylaşabiliriz. Bunun analizini yapabiliriz. Kısaca bir grup oluşturabilirsiniz. Bu grup bu projeyi tercüme eder ve kendine göre de revize eder ve bir proje haline getirir ve sunum yapabilir. Bu da ilerisi için faydalı olabilir, bir çalışma olabilir. Uygulamaya dönük bir proje. Bunun içinde en az 4-5 kişilik bir grup olsun. Makinacı, otomotivci, elektrik, çünkü ona dayanıyor teknik kısmı. Böyle bir projemiz var. Bahsettiğim projelerden biri bu. Bir diğeri, bundan çıkıyorum şimdi. Bir diğer proje örneğimiz, şey yapabileceğimiz, kabul edebileceğimiz. Birkaç örnek vereceğim. Böyle örneklerimiz var. Buradan seçebilirsiniz. Bunun için yabancı uyruklu arkadaşlarımızdan da yararlanabilirsiniz grubunuzda. İyi İngilizce bilen bir grupta da öyle oluşturabilirsiniz. Başka ne var bakalım. Bu mesela başka bir neymiş? Biyogaz üretim tesisi. Küçük ölçekli biyogaz tesisatının araştırma planı yapılması projesi. Bununla ilgili bir proje. Burada da gene belki biyoteknolojilerden öğrencimiz varsa ya da gıda mühendisliğinden öğrencilerimiz varsa makinacılarla, elektronikçilerle, bilgisayarcılarla bir araya gelebilirler. Buna bağlı, yani bu şekilde daha pratik örnekler verebiliriz. Bu şekilde görev alacak arkadaşlar için. Bir tane daha gösterelim. Bence yeter. Bunlar birkaç tane örnek var. Hani biz bu tür çalışmaları üstlenebiliriz. Böyle bir görev alabiliriz diyen arkadaşlarımız çıkabilir. Onlara da kendi konularına yakın bir konu seçebiliriz. örnek olabilir. Böyle herhalde bu silah parçaları imalatı daha uygun diğer arkadaşlarımızın anlamaları için. Gelecek hafta Onur Bey var. Bizim kimya mühendisi arkadaşımız. Kendisi sektörden. Bir nevi bana yardımcı olacak bu dönem. O bir hazırlık yapıyor. Bir tesis imalatını oluşturuyor. Onur Bey, önümüzdeki haftaya hazır olabilirsin değil mi? Arkadaşlara belki senin çalışman daha pratik sonuçlar verecektir.
Tabii hocam, önümüzdeki haftaya bir sunum hazırlayıp arkadaşlara anlatacağım.
Öyle,
ben.
Onur Bey sizin abiniz, büyüğünüz. Kendisi şu anda Hollanda'da bir firmada görevli, kimya mühendisi. Ama aynı zamanda bu derste bana yardımcı olacak. Kendisinin hazırladığı bir projeyi sunumla onunla başlarız ve siz de devam edersiniz. Yes, we are going to discuss something about the Turkish version of the projects. Some people will choose this kind of own work. We discuss something about it. The group have to be consist of the different disciplines. For example, one people, the member of the team, one of the member of team have to be the mechanical engineer, electrical engineer, and the other disciplines. It will be helpful for understand the system. Next week we have a chemical engineer. He's staying in Holland. He's responsible of the. He's the staff of the main company. Mr. Onur Körpeoğlu, he's also during this course. He's also will be my research assistant. Maybe you can ask something, some question to him. But first of all, he is going to present a paper, his project next week. It will be helpful for us. I'd like to thank to Onur. I think we are coming at the end of this course today. Please take care of you and please be ready to present your primitive or draft version of your project and download the related documents in the content area and please check the recording of the videos. It will be helpful for understand the system. Have a good time. Goodbye. See you next week. And be ready for the presentation. Goodbye. Take care of you.